watch actual speech analysis on YouTube that
Oh.
helps my brain get jump started. And a lot of the things that I actually pick up from those speech analysis, I actually get to use when I do the evaluation.
Mm.
And I practice table topics because I believe that, of course, it's an extemporaneous speech. When you do an evaluation, especially in a contest setting, you are essentially delivering an extemporaneous speech. So practicing table topics helps me deliver better evaluations, especially come the day of the contest. That's why I always, most of the time, join table topics along with evaluation because I think they complement each other.
Good day. Welcome to season 2, episode 4 of Tip Talks. I'm your moderator for tonight, Dino Santos, and we're here to talk about something at the heart of every Toastmaster who competes annually. We're here to talk about what it takes to win speech competitions. And so let's get on with it. Good evening, guys. It's been a while. Hi,
Yes.
Paul. Hi,
Hey,
Janice.
Dino,
Yes,
Hi,
Raul,
Raul.
Janice.
Hey, Paul.
it has been a while.
Totoo. So, guys, there's really no need for us to introduce ourselves. By now, you know who we are. So, uh, let's get started. What's been your journey like as a Toastmaster? Especially when you consider joining a competition. For you, what would it take to prepare for a speech contest? Who'd like to start?
Okay, let me get started.
Okay,
Uh,
Raul.
okay, so first time I joined the Toastmasters contest was it was in '96. It's 1996, yeah.
Wow.
And at that time, the club that I was with, they they needed representation in the area level,
Okay.
and because no one would volunteer, we would be, shall I say, pushed into the arena.
Yeah.
All right, and
Mm.
that was way back then. Nowadays, the reason I joined is because as as a leader in the club, I asked them, and I have to show an example. I have to show
Oh.
an example. I mean, I can't. I mean, they're so new; they don't even know about contests. And I said, oh, okay. So it's like, okay, I'll join. And then when they find out, oh, okay, then that's when other people join.
Mm.
Mm.
So in other words,
That's
you joined because you wanted to show by example.
that's right. That's right.
Mm.
As a matter of fact, there's this club which I'm a mentor at.
Mm.
The name of the club is Tech One Global. Now they've been
Oh.
around for this is their second year, and I've for the longest time I've been asking them, hey, come on, join, send the team, etc., etc. They won't, and usually they'd say. Finally, they said, we'd like to first see what a contest is like,
Mm. Okay.
and well, finally they have made commitment to send a team mm, in the next contest. That'll
Mm.
most likely be next year.
Mm.
But I know they'll live up to it.
Thank you so much, Raul.
Mhm.
I'd like to ask Paul, kasi Paul is a Toastmaster, though he may not have yet joined a contest. I'm sure you've watched several of those over the
He has
years.
joined the contest.
Oh, you
He
have?
has joined.
I've
Yes.
joined too many
Oh, okay.
for the short stint that I had.
uh,
There
what,
was
what?
one time I joined all three, I think, except for the international. I
Oh,
joined Humorous, Tip Talk, what is it?
table
Humorous,
topics?
the table topics.
Yeah.
I joined one time I
And
joined all three of them because nobody
oh
was
my God.
volunteering in the club.
Oh. Yeah. think that that tends to happen to a lot of Toastmasters kasi nga, there's a lack of volunteers. People are so afraid to be on the spot.
Well, in my case, I did it intentionally. I really wanted to join.
Awesome.
Okay, so I was doing it intentionally, and
Uh,
it was mainly to develop my own delivery skills. If you want to
there
say
you
that,
go.
that was the main
Uh,
drive.
yeah, so I think, Paul, for you in your case, it was the desire to get feedback from your fellow Toastmasters and
Right.
other contestants who are either as good as you or even better. Because, as iron sharpens iron. So lovely attitude. Lovely. Yeah. Janice, how about you? I know that you've been joining year after year after year. What's what
He's the
motivates you?
evaluation ninja.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started my first contest was evaluation also. I think that was way back in I think 2014, no, 2015. It was my second year as a Toastmaster. And at that, I don't remember if I was voluntold or
Oh.
asked to join, but I remember that the decision to join the contest might have been a last minute thing because I was one of the people, my home club is Tambuli Toastmasters Club. And I think I was one of the people that was present in the contest venue at that time. So I don't
Mm.
remember if I was asked if I wanted to join the evaluation contest because you didn't really need to memorize anything. So
Right.
I did try to join the evaluation contest. I remember I did a very bad evaluation. I just
Mm.
gave one commendation and one recommendation. But I saw it as an opportunity to learn new things. So
Mm.
I was nervous, but I liked the experience. So the following year, I tried joining again and also tried joining table topics. And ever since that time, I learned something new every time I join a contest, and I liked it. I mean, I learned something new. I eventually get a better place or better ranking every year that I join. So it was added motivation for me to come back year
Mm.
after year. So there hasn't been a year that I have not joined a contest when I was active.
Mm.
So I have always been a contestant in one or two categories, except for the year that I temporarily stopped being a Toastmaster. So yeah,
Wow. The motivation there is very strong. The desire to become better than what you were or what you would have been if you didn't join any of them. So by joining regularly, you kept growing and leveling up. That's
yes, definitely,
mm. So,
How
definitely.
about you, Dino?
whoops. Okay, here we go.
Nice try.
Yeah. When I joined in 1981, right away I started to join competitions because even before I joined the Toastmasters, I had a history of joining declamation or rhetorical competitions, and so it felt like a hand in glove experience. I mean, it almost felt inevitable, and so nobody had to twist my arm, as it were. I just wanted to compete. And I wanted to compete so much that at a certain point, I was asked not to join. This was during the year that my mom was also a district governor. One of the judges at the district level said, um, and this is a bit controversial because he was saying, we wanted to give you the point. I don't know why he felt compelled to tell me that. We wanted to give you the point, but your mom is the governor this year, so it wouldn't have been right to let you win. And so I said, what has that got to do with it? So after that experience, I became a judge because I thought um, I would never want anyone to be in the shoes that I found myself in because uh, it shouldn't really matter who the governor is because you will be judged on your own merits anyway. But fun fact though, the first contest that I won on a national level speech to evaluate went something like this. Mom competed in her area, was defeated by Rexy Sese. That was the one who won in her area. And then because I won in my area, Rexy and I eventually faced off when we got to the district. And I won by just a few points. Um, and so, of all the trophies I keep in my hobby room, that's the one that I really cherish because of just how few points separated me from Rexy. And it was a sweet victory because my winning allowed mom to feel vindicated because the one who defeated her, I defeated him. So Rexy and I became really, really good friends after that. He belonged to the Executive Toastmasters Club. At the time, I belonged to the Molave Toastmasters Club. And ever since that time, where um, I defeated him, Executive Toastmasters Club kept inviting me to be their GE. This was when they were still meeting at Manila Pen. And they always gave me a free dinner and kept asking me to join their club. Anyway, so ganun na ako
Of
katanda. In other words, naabutan ko pa sila Hermes Adriano. That's another one who kept joining. And then naabutan ko rin si Greg Vallejera nung buhay pa siya. He also kept joining humorous speech. Yun. So that's my era. In other words, for me, it was the love to compete. I really just was a very competitive person back in the day.
1981? Did I hear right?
Yep. I
You were
joined
still in
in.
college.
Yes, I was. I was
Okay.
18. And then when I won on the national level, that was in 83 in Baguio, where the convention was going on. My friends from my club pranked me by asking me to sing. They said, Dino, you see that gorgeous lady playing at the piano? Yeah, this is when Pines Hotel was still around. I said, why don't you go up there and sing one of Lou Rawls' songs, or Nonoy Zuniga's songs? And so from afar, I said, wow, she is gorgeous. So I went up, picked up the microphone, and started to sing. I'll never say goodbye, like that. After I sang, my friends from my club, one by one, vanished, as in they ran out of the ballroom. And I was wondering why. And then Lady Valerie said, kiss muna. So I turned around and I noticed the Adam's apple. And so, oh, I know why they wanted me to to sing. So they pranked me good. But I was sport. I mean, I still gave her a peck on the cheek because
You
she
know,
played the piano well.
there's a defense mechanism for that. If anybody asks you ever to do that kind of kissing, you don't want to kiss the person. You go up to the person, put your hand on them, and go, and then go back. Put your hand on the head, face, wherever you want, and then kiss and then walk back.
Yeah. Kaya pala nagtago sila. I mean, they all just vanished. But I forgive them. Life goes on. So, comes the second question I'd like to throw to the group. What's what's your preparation? How do you prepare psychologically, technically for a contest? Who'd like to start?
I can start off.
Okay.
Um, but I if I'm doing an evaluation contest, I think that a lot for me as a competitor, a lot is dependent on having a clear mind and a mind that's what I would say awake during the competition because you really need to be able to have. I like being in a mindset where I could really dissect a speech as well as at the same time dissecting the speech at the same time trying to make the evaluation itself creative. So what I would do normally, like for this last contest, the night before, I would watch. actual speech analysis on YouTube that
Oh.
helps my brain get jump started. And a
Mm,
lot of the things that I actually pick up from those speech analysis, I actually get to use when I do the evaluation.
mm,
And I practice table topics because I believe that, of course, it's an extemporaneous speech. When you do an evaluation, especially in a contest setting, you are essentially delivering an extemporaneous speech. So practicing table topics helps me deliver better evaluations, especially come the day of the contest. That's why I always, most of the time, join table topics along with evaluation because I think they complement each other. So
mm.
normally that's what I do. I also try to on the day of the contest. I also try to listen to a playlist of songs that I've curated that helps me get into a more cheerful mood because people have
Oh.
always told me that I am a very cerebral speaker or a very professorial speaker. So listening to the certain playlist that I've assembled helps make me much more approachable, for the lack of a
Mm,
better term.
mm, mm.
So that's my normal contest, a pre-contest ritual.
You raised a very good point there, Jan Ace, because under normal circumstances, let's say at a club meeting, regular club meeting, when we give an evaluation, we can be calm, we can be analytical, but when it comes to a contest, judges are also looking for charisma. They're also looking for affability. In other words, if the competition is so close, they start looking for those little details that will make you different.
Yes,
Di
yes.
ba? And sometimes fairly or unfairly, they'll say, "Oh, because he didn't smile as much as the other guy," or because he didn't have a little humor. Yeah, the other one did. Ganun. So, yung pala sikreto mo, no? Music helps you
Yeah.
feel better.
Uh, me bit more cheerful, I guess. And even in and during the pandemic, which was also a different scenario altogether, I also
Mm.
used to watch videos of The Rock, the wrestler, because he used to
Oh.
deliver very funny promos in the WWE. So laughing a lot before the contest helps get me into a more cheerful mood when I deliver an
Mm.
evaluation. But I don't do that anymore now that
Okay.
we've come back face to face. It's not necessary anymore. But when it was a virtual competition, I used to do that also.
Mm. Oh, those are some great tips. Um, who'd like to go next?
Uh,
Okay, I'll go
I
next.
was, I'll go ahead,
Go
Raul.
ahead, Paul.
Go
Paul.
ahead.
Go
Oh,
ahead, Paul.
yes.
Please.
I'm in a completely different spot, and I think it's also my main weakness when it comes to speeches. I've been told by not only people but the right people. In fact, one of them said, Paul, the way you speak, you can make a lot of money in the U.S.
Uh,
Okay, and I thought about it. So then that's why I started thinking maybe I should do speeches and stuff. So I'm already starting with a gift. Okay, and I'm aware of that. And for me, the biggest challenge is actually practicing. Okay, actually memorizing my speech and
okay.
stuff. And mainly because, generally speaking, I'm very, how would you say? I'm very, I always think of the big view, if you want to say. I don't think
Mm,
of the smaller. It's always big view first. And also, this is also why you came up with a 4-H. And this is even before I read John Maxwell. I said, I want to connect with the people by heart, hope,
mm,
help, and humor.
mm,
Okay, if you can get all four, good for you. So that's what I'm focusing on doing when I'm talking to you. It's not necessarily that I'm reading or memorizing something and then speaking it, because I found that if I memorize something personally, when I hear myself, I feel like I don't sound right. Okay, that's
mm.
what I'm hearing. I don't know what I actually sound like. I don't get feedback on it. It's, oh, wow, Paul, great. That's it. And then what do I do now? Okay. So, and that one, and I found it particularly difficult with the humor speech
Mm.
because, yes, I was able to actually write humor. But I can assure you, if you repeated it 10 times, it doesn't sound funny anymore to you. Okay. You know what I mean? So, what the hell's going on here? So you have a hard time You have a hard time doing the whole thing. And so, admittedly, most of the time, I'm just running off an outline. I have
Mm.
an idea in my head what I want to do, and I just focus on connecting to those four things: hope, help, humor, and uh, heart. That's an emotion. I have to connect emotionally, like I'm doing right now when I'm speaking to you. But that's me, okay? And come on, most people don't have a gift where these respected people come up to you and say, "Paul, you got a good gift." And I said, "Oh, okay." All right. So, but that's me. So when it comes to preparation, maybe it is my weakness because I don't really write a script and memorize it. Okay, I just have things in my head and said, okay, I'm supposed to do one, two, three, four, five. And even when I'm speaking, I'm able to, even if I accidentally miss part one or part two, I can somehow weave it back in
Mm.
into the whole thing. And that's generally speaking because of my understanding of what it is that I want to say. All right. So, but that's me. Okay. It's like I can't, you know, so it's very difficult to say what tips do I have. For me, I just focus on those four H's:
Mm.
heart, hope, help, and humor. If I can get them all in, better off I am.
Those are great tips because they keep you focused. And as you said, it's very inductive from big picture to small picture. And your goal to build connection between you and your listeners. That is a good place to start. And Paul, having heard you so many times start a program, a workshop, I marvel at how you're able to win people over very, very quickly. Doesn't matter if
Oh yeah,
they happen to be young or our age. They just respond to you, and that.
that's something people see in me and tell me, Paul, you got this skill. I said, okay. So
So hey, guys, if you heard Jan A's style, and that works as well. Paul's style also helps him. There's not one universal thing that helps everybody. It depends on where you're coming from and what you'd like to use to get better. Raul, how about you?
All right. One something that I always do is I try to come to the venue as early as I can.
Oh,
The
okay.
reason is I get the feel of the place.
Hmm.
uh, ver- because if I were to arrive a little later when there's a lot of people, uh, I wouldn't uh, it wouldn't calm my nerves.
Hmm.
So as I arrive early, get the feel of the place makes me relax.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so, and I feel I would deliver a lot better.
Hmm.
So that's coming a little extra early would help.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Raul. Nothing beats doing a recon, as it were, of the venue, because you never know. Will their microphone mess up on you at the worst possible moment? Will the light guy not be able to capture you just right? Because sometimes they don't mark the stage with those tapes, so you know where you're supposed to stand, and that could be disastrous when it's contest day. So you want to take the unknown, as much of it, out of the equation, so that when you go, it's like deja vu. um, in my case, what I did was when I competed for the speech to evaluate contest, I memorized the entire manual. This was back in the day during the legacy era where we had 15 speech projects in our basic communication and leadership manual. I memorized all the objectives of all the speech projects. So I thought, no matter what speech the test speaker is going to do, I already know the objectives. And I always started that way. I set the framework for my comments. So I'll go, the test speaker had the following objectives, and I rattle it off and then give my comments. Um, I did something else also. I brought masking tape and a pack of Marlboro Blue Seal. And here's the reason why. I'd show up the night before and go up on the stage. The technician of the hotel is there, setting things up for tomorrow's contest. I'd be there, no one else around, just me. And I'd tell him, uh, can you test the sound as I speak? And so he'd be there by the equalizer. He'd be adjusting it just for my voice. And then when we found the perfect blend, the perfect waveform for my voice, he'd use the masking tape, which had DHS, DHS, DHS written on it, and he'd stick it on the equalizer so that if he sees me, contestant number whatever, I'd step out on stage, he'd see me and instantly adjust the equalizer to the markings that were there just for me, and the blue seal was for him. The pack of Marlboro.
I
And
was
so
gonna
that
ask you about the blue seal. I said, why do you even have to say it's blue seal? Oh, parang imported si Dino.
imported, yeah. But back then, meron pang ganun. There was still blue seal. So I really just had to do that. Standing, there's nothing beats standing on the stage, even if there's nobody there, to soak in the ambiance, have the light on, test the sound, and pretend that everyone's there. I also had to know where the judges were sitting because I knew that in as much as I'm talking to the audience, I'm also talking to them. So I would divide my time between the audience and the judges. Um, when it comes to prepared speeches, that's the tough part. Like Paul, I wasn't much into memorizing as much as I was into internalizing because I knew no matter how well I prepared, something was bound, Murphy's Law. If anything can go wrong, it will. So I wasn't going to mess this up. So if I internalize the speech, as long as I got my opening line and my closing line right, whatever happens in the middle, I'll be fine. And then where table topics goes, I always just made sure that the moment the topic was mentioned, I didn't wait for the second reading or take advantage of that 1 minute of silence and then it would be read again. The moment the contest chair read the topic, bang, I'm there. Like 1 second later, I begin to react to it. Um, I like the adrenaline rush, the excitement, and having all the patterns already well rehearsed in my head. Right away, bang, go ahead and respond
You
to
know
it.
what's funny about the table topics and that 1 minute rule, if you want to say?
Yeah.
In reality, you can't pause for a minute.
Yes, you can.
But what I do is I just say, "Wow, that's a very interesting topic," and I start, just throwing out some kind of words that make sense, but it helped me think also. So,
Mm,
for example, you throw up a topic, it's a very interesting topic, and I've never thought of it from this angle. Come to think of it, and then just talk a little bit, and then I can arrange my ideas. So there's still a pause, but it's not blank.
mm,
Okay, I just talk, right? So and it's very useful, especially when you're let's say talking about communication, you're talking to, let's say, a supervisor or your boss, or you're trying to coach somebody.
mm,
Yes, there's a time for silence, but it's usually not at the beginning.
mm.
Okay, all right. You don't start quiet and just look at each other and say, no. Okay. When you want him to commit, fine, then you be quiet. But,
Mm,
the silence part isn't at the beginning. So you have to start the conversation. You have to get it rolling and things like that. So
mm,
it's more useful in that sense. So I like the idea of starting right away.
mm.
But if a tabletop is given the time limit, if you're going to waste half a minute just talking, introductory or whatever, it takes away time.
Mm.
So in competition sense, the 1 minute makes sense to me, but in reality, it doesn't make any sense in
I,
real
I'm
life.
I'm with you there, Paul. In business, no president, CEO, or key account will ever wait a minute for you to give an answer. If they have a
No.
question, they expect the answer within 3 seconds or less. So
Yeah. Right.
it's just strange. But I think Jan A's. in our chat box said the rules have already changed and
No, yeah, there's no rule that you have to wait for. So normally people who take a while to answer, the judges will notice that you took a while to answer. So it's a detriment to you if you take a while to answer.
mm,
So you're there's no rule that there's a 1 minute of prep time. You answer as long as you're ready to answer. And I've noticed that if it takes a while for you to answer, then the judges don't normally favor those people who don't
mm.
answer in a quick manner.
That's true. I've always found it odd that sometimes they will even, I mean, I don't know if they still do it now, but back in the day, they let people have a piece of paper and they can write notes during
No,
that
they don't.
minute
They
of
don't.
silence.
Nope.
They don't allow
No
that.
more.
They don't allow
Okay.
that. No.
You know what I find strange about it? If you're doing table topics, the time it takes you to write notes, to digest what you wrote,
Hmm.
for me is a waste of time.
Yes.
Okay, you can get caught, time limit, whatever it is. So I said, well, why do you even have to write? You know, right? So,
Hmm.
but that one I find a little strange, right? Notes. But
True.
going back to Janice's point, even when I was competing, they didn't have a 1 minute. They said once you make a significant gesture or motion or open your mouth, that's when we start. That's when we start timing.
Hmm.
But when I was training for it, the suggestion was take about at least half a minute, not more, to compose yourself, and then you can start.
Hmm. You know, Paul, a new rule was mentioned to me when I attended the Oval Toastmasters Club. And they were rehearsing a make-believe contest, and the rule was read, and it said that a contestant is supposed to say, oh, well, the contest chair is supposed to say, like contestant number four, and then so you go, and then you say, thank you, contest chair, and then the contest chair is supposed to say, you're welcome. And I've always wondered about that. And Masayo explained to me that I think that's because they want to make sure that the sound system is working. So they give you a chance to say that, and then they respond to you. And then after you say thank you, contest chair, any significant gesture or sound that you make counts as the start of the speech.
No, no, no. No, that's not how it was done in like the contest here in the
Yeah.
Philippines in District
Mm,
75. No. So normally they just ask you if they want, no, they ask you to test your mic before the topic is read.
Yep.
Yeah.
awesome.
So
Yeah, because what if you have a question as an attention getter? Then it kind of ruins the beginning of your
yeah,
talk.
exactly.
Mm.
Exactly.
So it leads me to my next question. What contest do you find most desirable to join? Like if you could join it, if you won it already, if you could join it again, would you? Which one do you like? Oh, because there are four, right? Evaluation, impromptu speaking, prepared, and humorous. Which gets you up and excited? Would like to start.
Well, for me, I, I oftentimes join the evaluation contest because
Mm.
I enjoy, you know, listening to the test speaker. Na, in fact, mm, uh, sometimes it's uh, you could get helpful messages or terrific insights from the test speaker just by listening to their message, or
Mm.
sometimes from the humor that they have in their speech. That it would um, you'd find it very amusing. And I'd like
Okay.
to after hearing that, it's nice to acknowledge those bits that we find amusing.
So if you could join that every year, that's the one that you like the most.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Um, Paul, any thoughts?
The For me, table topics is still the one I'd like to do, and I'll get back to explaining to why, as to why. The other one, strangely, is humorous. I'll start there. Humorous simply because I still can't figure it out. I want to be able to. I mean, you've listened. Those of you who've listened to me talk, especially when I start injecting humor, it's not structured. It just
Yeah.
happens. Okay,
Yes.
and in the humor of speech, you have to structure it. Maybe that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Mm.
Make it intentional, if you want to say, and it's something I'd like to figure out eventually. Okay, but table topics. The other reason why table topics is I really enjoy swimming against the current, especially if it's a very obvious topic, if you want to say.
Mm. Mm.
One of the contests where I did pretty well. Table topics. I think the topic then was, sleep is for the weak. That was a statement. Okay,
Okay.
all right. And all the guys ahead of me, or at least the ones after me, they're saying, "Yeah, sleep. You have to sleep. No, that's not true. Blah 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 blah." One of them even went the whole thing how lack of sleep caused her to have a breakdown already and all of that. And I said, and I started right away. Sleep is for the. I said, absolutely. Okay. and I recounted my little story, but in the end, I'm saying, people who succeed, there are days that they don't sleep.
Right.
Period. Okay, so don't tell me that sleep is for the weak. Okay,
Yeah.
there are times that you're just gonna have to do that, 16, 20 hour shift
Mm.
just because you have to.
Yeah.
All right. In my case, it wasn't so much that. There was a point in my life where, I got stuck being a house mom and I had 4 kids at home.
Yeah.
But that means I woke up at 4:30 and went to sleep at 11 p.m.
Wow.
every day.
Every
Okay.
day.
Why? Because you wake up at 4:30 to make sure the breakfast is there, the bound is there, and all
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
And then
Oh
by the
my.
time by the time you finish cleaning the house down, it's 11:30 p.m. The kitchen. Oh, it's 11:30. Time to sleep. So that was a time in my life, but I said it's what I had to do.
Mm.
That was it. Okay. So you can't say, "Oh no, I'm going to sleep when there's work that has to be done." No.
Mm.
Okay.
Well, but
So that's what
everybody's
it boiled down to.
but everyone's grown up now, Paul, right? So you
Oh
don't have
yeah,
to.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was fortunate that my kids, because my eldest was born in 92 and my youngest in
Wow.
99.
Mm.
So the gap is seven
Mm.
years for all four of them. But I pretty much had a tsunami for about 20 years.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay.
Then it calmed down. All right.
So now sleep is
Oh
more
yeah, yeah. So
normal
so
for you.
sleep is better now.
Okay. Janice, for you, which one gets you excited? Which contest?
Well, I love doing evaluations. So the evaluation contest is what I love joining every year.
Mm.
And I still want to win the district at some point. And at some point in time, I thought that I couldn't perform better than, just being in the district finals. But last year, I was able to get a third place finish. I was with Sir Raul at the time also during that competition in Davao. And that encouraged me to continue on trying to still get that elusive district championship. So
Mm.
aside from just the competition goals, I love doing an evaluation in a competition setting. It really, I feel, pushes my skills as a Toastmaster to the limit, because especially when you get to have a test speaker that's particularly challenging. I
Yeah.
remember getting this in the district finals in 2021. We had to evaluate this Russian lady who was living in Korea. So it's particularly interesting to evaluate her speech. Uh, and the following year, they also gave us this Indonesian guy who had a very thick accent. So and there's always an interesting challenge when I try to compete for evaluation contests. So I love doing evaluation contests, and I still want to be able to win the district at some point. Next to that, table topics, of course. I love the extemporaneous nature of the contest. But at some point, I would want to be able to. I've never joined an international speech contest, so at some point, I'd love to be able to do that to challenge myself also. But yeah, evaluation and then table topics.
Mm. Janice, fun fact. Back in the day, again, during the legacy era, if you joined the prepared speech competitions and won at the national level, the district would sponsor your airfare, your trip to the US. They'd even help you get your visa from the US Embassy. you know, they
Oh,
they'd prepare a letter for you, and all you really had to spend on were your out of pocket expenses. So
oh, that's nice.
back then,
I
it
I
was
thought it was still the
wonderful.
same today.
It
I mean, I've
is?
never been there, but I've always thought it was like that.
Hmm.
Might be. Of course, the district, the international convention moves around now. I think there was one
Yep.
year that it was in Paris.
Yeah.
So it depends probably on which country you're going to.
Hmm. But that would be nice. It would be an incredible perk uh, to join
That's
and
true.
win.
So who wants to
That's
go to
true.
Afghanistan?
Oh,
No, just kidding.
except there.
Uh,
Oh my
or,
gosh.
or North Korea.
Uh,
Anyway,
anyway,
I've 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 noticed that all four of us seem to really enjoy evaluation and impromptu speaking. The two contests that I try to stay away from, only because they're very difficult, is prepared. I tried to join twice and didn't make it during my second attempt, so I stopped trying. Maybe I shouldn't have, but I just did. And then for me, the kind of the holy grail would be the humorous speech competition. If only because even Bob Hope said, comedy is no laughing matter. It's really hard to make people laugh. Except maybe because of how old I am now. If I say, um, if I were to look for a prospective partner, I join a service called carbon dating.
I read that one.
Yeah, so um, so it's about the punchline. It's about finding jokes that fit you, but it has to also be a theme, so it's not just a series of jokes. Someday I would like to climb that Everest, the humorous speech, but that would be like the last one, the
I
unicorn.
think I think I told this to you guys already, but I know I told it to you, Dino. There was one time I was just meeting in the area first, and I was talking about the love languages.
Mm-mm.
Okay, and my main joke was I said over time you learn another language called the acts of flatulence. Okay.
I love
Alright.
that.
and then and then the idea was to describe all the different sounds. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But then somebody pointed it out, Paul. Maybe the judges won't like you talking about farts, and so I cut it out. Okay, for the next level, I said, "Darn."
You know what? If you were allowed to give the speech, I would have wanted to listen to it because, believe it or not, doctors, nurses in all hospitals love to hear you fart. Especially if you undergo surgery because they won't let you go home. It's a thing unless you fart because that
Ah,
means that the surgery was successful and all of your innards are working fine. So when I came out of surgery and I was in the post anesthesia care unit of the NKTI, 2 hours later I felt like farting and I gave it my all. And after that, I heard the nurses clapping. Congratulations! Like, oh my gosh, I never got a round of applause just for having an internal combustion of pressurized hot air. So like it's apparently a thing. Women who go through cesareans, they're required to before they're allowed to go home. Farting is such sweet sorrow, you know. uh, I would still like to hear you give that speech sometime, Paul. Really?
I can rebuild it. Okay.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. Okay.
Mm,
I thought it was funny. I said I wrote it. Hey, this is a pretty good thing to talk about.
yeah. it would have the benefit of being utterly original because I've never heard anybody talk about it.
Yeah.
Hmm. Um, if there's a role that we as contestants eventually transition to, it's being a judge. What's it like for you as a judge? In other words, not competing but judging. Would anybody like to share what are some of your thoughts about being a judge?
I've never been
Um,
a judge.
oh, okay, not yet, not
Ever. Okay.
yet.
I could start.
Okay,
I
go
could
ahead,
start.
Janice.
Well, when I served as a judge, like I think 2 or 3 years ago in one of the division contests, and it it actually helped open my eyes to how I could better win over the judges. So it made me realize that there's a judging rubric, but you don't actually need to use it. So it made me realize that all of these contests really everything is a perception game. So at the end of the day, you need to be able to leave that strong impression on the judges, even if you're not always as precise as it should be. So that
Mm,
was an insight that I got from being at the judges table. The second interesting insight that I got was, I had this concept in mind on who would be a good competitor, who should win. But sometimes the other judges would agree based on the results, but there are times when I felt strongly about a particular
mm,
contestant, but they didn't win. So that
mm,
surprised me. So it was an interesting experience being at the judges' table because you get to see the dynamics that play out when you yourself become a competitor again. So I think
mm.
that was what was interesting for me.
Thank you so much, Janice. Indeed, uh, changing perspectives is a wonderful thing because it helps you see things from the other side. And it helps later on, especially in business, when you're trying to win over, say, a superior or say a client. Hmm. Uh, who'd like to go next?
Okay. So there were times when I would judge, and especially when I'd be a division director, or actually I was a division director 3 times. And when I noticed that it's always good to review the rules,
Hmm.
review the rules, and once once in a while, the the there would be something about the contest that would not go correctly. I'll give you an example. Uh, at one time, the way the contestant was introduced. So, because in the rules, like let's say for their speech, so name, title, name. Uh, Sometimes when you have a contest master, sometimes they don't follow the script. They Yeah, they just wheel it. They just wing it. They just wing it. So at that time, I remember I had to uh, mention it to the chief judge,
Hmm.
and hey, look, isn't it the format should be name, title of speech delivery.
Hmm.
Maybe we could remind the guy. We could do that. So that's uh, that's why it's very important for judges to read the rules
Hmm.
to make sure that the contest is conducted correctly. Otherwise, if there's someone who's very familiar about the rules, then they might use that as a source of protest.
Hmm.
Another rule is that uh, they're supposed to be using the same microphone.
Right.
Right. They're supposed to use. Now I've seen a contest where you have a choice of microphones.
Right.
That's what
Either wireless lapel or the stand mic.
the handle,
Yeah.
that's right. So they're supposed to use the same that. So that's another that. So It's best that, especially during a judge's review, that the chief judge covered this. Maybe he talked with the contest chair, things like that. Back to you, Dino.
Thank you, Raul. Uh, I can feel the angst that you're expressing over things when you notice that they're going wrong or they're not following what the rules should say, right? Or what the rules say. The frustration. Um, the nice thing about being told you can't compete anymore because, and so I ended up judging, and I did it so many times that I grew from it to the point where if I listened to seven contestants for a particular category, I could tell within the first minute which one out of all those speakers is most likely to win. Because if the contestant doesn't nail it during the first minute, the rest of it is essentially just lost. So the first 10 seconds for me is important. And at this point, the first three have become important. So if they don't nail it from that perspective, then it's gone. And I would never have thought that way if I had not been a judge. So I began to embrace the role and seek it out. Um, Paul has a unique opportunity that none of us have, and that is you will be a judge someday, and I'm sure you'll enjoy the experience. Yeah,
One day we'll see.
yeah.
Okay.
Which contest would you like to judge? If you could.
Me?
Yeah.
Again, my two favorites, the table topics and humorous.
Mm, yeah.
Okay, the prepared speech I can understand,
Mm,
but for me, in many ways, it's not the core. It's not the core business. It's not the core essence of Toastmasters. Because
mm,
Toastmasters for me is extemporaneous mostly.
right.
Just talk.
Mm.
Okay. So for me, that's still the main driver, if you want to say.
Yeah.
No, because people can prepare for a speech, but not everybody can talk. You know, on their feet.
Yes.
Okay, it can be taught. You can learn it,
Mm.
but it's not something you can just copy paste if you want to say. Okay, well, I'll just follow the instructions, write my speech, and memorize it. Okay, so that's the reason why I still would like to judge those two.
Mm.
Revalue, judge. Sorry.
I understand. Personally, whenever I attend conventions, and I seldom do these days, but back when I was still attending them, I'd ask, when is the humorous speech contest? When is the impromptu speaking contest? Because those were the ones that I most wanted to observe. Uh, the other two, I'd go around the city and explore. I wasn't that much keen on, because back during my time, prepared speeches were usually dramatic, and I didn't much like it. Although I understood why, because the Philippine audience responds to inspiration, to dramatic themes. But then, if you win nationally, you'd have to have another speech to use in the international competition, and that has to be more entertaining, a little bit more light than what you used to win nationally. And some people forget that, that if you join the prepared speech contest, you're actually preparing two projects, not just to win nationally, but hopefully to win internationally. Hmm. So as we come to the closing of our episode, um, what thoughts would you like to give to prospective contestants or people who are still on the fence somehow, not sure whether I'd like to join or kailangan ba talaga brasuhin, arm twisting so that a person will join. Any thoughts or words of encouragement for a
Well,
young?
for me, you know, if you join the Toastmasters to improve your ability to speak, you won't get better sitting on the fence. Okay. You have to join them. You have to join the contest, even if you're not prepared, even if you feel like you're the worst contestant ever,
Mm.
just go out there and join it. And then
Yeah.
there's absolutely nothing to lose.
Mm.
Now, many people say, "Oh, but if I do badly, blah 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 blah." And I always remind them, if you do badly, no one will remember you. They'll remember the guy who did well. Okay, so don't worry about it. Okay, just,
That's true enough.
just do that. I said, but if you're serious about improving the way you speak, join. It
Mm.
doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter. Just join. It's the only way you're going to get better. Sitting on the fence is not going to help.
Agreed. After all, if people pay for their membership, they may as well
Yeah.
get the most value out of it.
Right.
Mm. Raul, you want to say
All right.
something?
So uh, there's a way to get people to join the contests without, shall I say, forcing them to.
Mm.
What you do is, and I've done this in one of the clubs that I'm guiding. Even if they're new members, you it's like you train them. So from day one, help them with their speeches, the table topics, skills
Mm.
that they want to develop. Uh, membership. I mean mentorship.
Mm.
You seriously mentor them, spend time with them, and then and when they see when they see their skills improving, they will proactively join. Uh, I did this with one of my clubs, and each they represented each category in the area contest.
Mm.
Mm. That's why I was very uh, on the other side of the coin when I joined another area contest, the one a couple of weeks ago. I was surprised to see that uh, in an area that had five clubs, only two clubs were represented, and a particular club which used to send to participate mm, in not so long ago area contests. They didn't send anyone. So no, no, they. So it's really important, to properly mentor the new members, and it's exciting to see them join. Just like what Paul said, it doesn't. Well, what's important is that you participate, you'd see your skill
Mm.
develop. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Raul. Although, let me just say that one of the worst things that can happen to you if you do join a contest is to find out that no one else showed up. So you win by default because you're the only one who arrived.
I have a funny story about that. That happened in one of my humorous contests. I think Janice was there, and I don't know what was going on in the mind of the contest chair. He still asked me, "So, what secrets do you have to share in order for you to win the contest?" And I go, "Be the only one to join."
Yeah.
I go, "Come on, what kind of silly question is that? You're the only guy there." I felt like I was laughing to myself.
Mm. It's very discouraging when you do work up the nerve to participate and then you show up and because of a storm or typhoon, no one else arrived. And they make you deliver your speech anyway. And it's just not the same without competition. It's not fun. uh, Janice, any thoughts?
Before we move on to like my thoughts, if even if you win by default, most likely you'll have competitors in the next level
Yes,
because
yes, exactly.
like because I've only seen that happen. I only see that happen now at the area level, but at the
Mm.
division level, you're sure to have some people competing against you.
Mm.
So anyway, parting words for I agree with what everybody said that it's really you're not maximizing the Toastmasters education program if you don't join contests. That's what I think. Try joining at least once or twice, and that's a good way for you to be able to accelerate your learning. You can grow much faster if you join any of the speech contests, because you get not just the experience of competing, but if you're in a good club or in a good division, you get a lot of inputs coming from more seasoned Toastmasters that can help you grow as a speaker, not just in a competition setting, but also you can apply those things outside of a Toastmasters setting. I'll give you an example. Recently, one of the we were mentoring one of these new clubs in Division B. For those who aren't Toastmasters, that's Makati City, and this club is just 6 months old. And one of their competitors, one of their members, joined the rookies contest in December, table topic. So I offered to coach him, and I coached him. He got into second place, and come the area contest, I encouraged them to join again because wala namang mawawala. You won't lose anything. So he joined again, and I was really surprised that he grew so much from the rookies contest and even won the area contest, I think 2 or 3 or a week ago or so. And he was telling me how the things that he's learned. He joined table topics. The things that he learned in the table topics contest. He's now much more confident talking to his clients, his boss. So it's something that he learned in a competition setting, but it's also something that he was able to apply outside of a Toastmaster setting. So you can get that if you are still on the fence when joining contests. You can really get a lot of that experience if you try to become a competitor in any of the categories. So just try joining.
Yeah.
You won't lose anything. Yeah.
It's
That's still the
certainly,
number one reason why they join. I need
yeah.
to be able to speak, that's still the same reason. Why did you join Toastmasters? And then how does it go? Your first club meeting. So now we're doing table topics. Any volunteers?
Uh-oh.
Quiet.
Paul, that observation is so true. Back in the day, there were two types of clubs. Um, a club that's for socializing. So I will not say which part of the Philippines had a lot of clubs like that, where they really weren't into public speaking in as much as they wanted to gather together. Um, because they'd find friends and they like gathering with their friends. But then there are other clubs. This one maybe I can mention. Most of the Makati clubs back in the day, they were very serious about education. And so when they got together, let's say Managers for Christ Toastmasters Club, they'd have like 18 prepared speeches in one night. So we'd go home at 11:30 p.m. because we had to listen to all of those speakers. But they really maximized their membership. They joined contests. They'd compete amongst themselves, even at the club level, because they all wanted to join. And so, in closing, I'd like to also say that if you are not on the fence and you want to join, but they won't let you compete, say, in a particular category, well, guess what? That's where being a member of several other clubs come in because you could represent a club for this category this year and the next year represent another club in another category that you really like. So you're not stuck with just one club. You can join several clubs and really broaden your horizon. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed what you saw tonight and heard, especially those of you who are competing and who are preparing, um, we'd like for you to listen to our episode 5, where we will be talking about how the skills we gain from Toastmasters now apply in the corporate world. If you're into sales, if you're a manager, if you have a project to pitch, if you have a budget to get approved, what works? How do you win, say, a Six Sigma white paper presentation? that's what we're going to be talking about in our next episode. So thank you so much, Paul, Jan Ace, and Raul for joining us tonight.
Thank you,
And
Thank you.
gentlemen.
Thank you.
as usual,
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
learning is a never ending journey with limitless vistas.